Welcome to part 2 of our Bond Girls countdown. Last time when we said goodnight, we were at number 21, but now it's time to push on. I did not do that deliberately, by the way. I just noticed that before I started filming this, that she was at 21, okay? Right, only the great Bond Girls today. We've got a really great selection. There's no duffers, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this. So let's find out who is at number 20. We have Lupe Lamora from License to Kill, another one of these girls who are just like kept women in the arms of the villain and just wants Bond to rescue them, which Bond does in this case, as he always does. And I feel a little bit sorry for that she doesn't actually get to be with Bond at the end. He's in an embrace with her and then Pam comes along and Bond chooses Pam instead, but I guess at least he got Lupe out and she seems quite happy enough with her lot, so we'll let her get on with it. Number 19, we have Cara Milivoy, a kind of unremarkable Bond girl, but she doesn't do anything to annoy me. Very good with the cello. That comes into play halfway through the movie when they sort of do this escape down this ski slope on her cello case. So a decent one on the whole. I don't know, I wouldn't instantly think of her when I think of the great Bond girls, but I think she's done well to get into the top 20. Number 18, Pam Bouvier. So yeah, both License to Kill girls have come out quite quickly today in part 2. I rank them very, very similar, really. I just about favour Pam because I think her story with Bond throughout the movie is more the main sort of love plot, if you like, and Lupe is just a slightly more secondary character that Bond is simply just there to rescue, if you see what I mean. But Pam's pretty good. It's a bit bizarre. She changes her hairstyle and she does get a bit desperate as the movie goes on in terms of how she's trying to impress Bond. She does have a good bit near the end, though, when she sort of becomes like the gyro pilot from Mad Max, sort of helping out occasionally with all the action with the trucks and stuff. But 17, we have Stacy Sutton. Not a very popular Bond girl, but like I said in one of my other rankings, I do tend to rank up stuff to do with A View to a Kill, and I don't mind Stacy. I find it quite funny that she's about 40 years younger than Roger Moore, and they've got this romance going on. And I don't think there's a single Bond girl in the series that says James quite like Stacy Sutton. She's just brilliant, and she just doesn't annoy me. I just find her completely fine. I'm not sure if I was in her place that I would have turned down that $5 million for that house. I mean, in 1985, that was probably worth many times the value of that house. So a bit silly in that regard. And how does she not hear that blimp when it's coming behind her to, you know, Zorin's about to scoop her up towards the end? How could you not hear that coming? Still, coming in at number 16, we have Madeleine Swann, the main girl from Spectre, and she'll be coming back for No Time to Die. So this is one that could possibly rise up into the top 10 once she's got her second film behind her. There's not a lot of Bond girls, well, hardly any, who can say that. In terms of the one film she's done so far, I wouldn't say that she's been amazing. Okay, but not amazing. It's cool that she's the daughter of a character that we've already seen quite a bit in earlier Daniel Craig films. So that counts for her. Right, number 15, we have Tilly Masterson. A bit of an outsider with the bookies to get into my top 20, but I like this girl more and more every time I watch Goldfinger. I think she's got a really fun part in the middle. She's really kind of trying to keep her identity from Bond, and then she sort of accidentally gives it away in the end because she's just so useless at trying to take down Goldfinger by herself. And she just has this smile towards the end of her role where she's finally come around to Bond's side because he's rescued her. And it is sad when she gets taken out. A bit of a cheat on Oddjob's part. There's no way he's hitting her with that hat like that. It's just a 1 in a million shot. Here we have a deleted scene where she did originally come back to rescue Bond from Fort Knox with her rifle. No, that didn't actually happen. Right, coming in next at 14, we have Honey Rider. A bit of a surprise, only coming this low. I mean, she's the most famous Bond girl, but not the best. I mean, she's okay. She's not annoying. She doesn't screech or get on your nerves or anything like that. But I think her relationship with Bond, it's very much an in-the-moment thing. They're just with each other until they can get out of this situation. There's not a genuine, you know, chemistry between that might lead to something more. You know that it's just going to be one of those things that ends pretty much as soon as they get back on shore from the oil rig or the mine, bauxite mine, I think is what it's called. Right, coming in at 13, we have Aki from You Only Live Twice. I mentioned in my part 1 that I don't think she should have been killed off halfway through and You Only Live Twice. I think she's a really good character, a lot of fun. She's got a real sparkle in her eyes, and she gets on really well with Bond. And there is a bizarre moment where their relationship seems to have speeded up. I mean, they've only just met and had a couple of chases, and then she comes into this massage room and Bond greets her with a kiss or something, as if they've had some relationship that's been going on for 6 months. It's kind of weird if you watch that part. But that aside, I do like her in this film. She definitely shouldn't have been killed off. She should have gone all the way to the end, even in the volcano and all that stuff. So I should start a campaign. Justice for Aki, like 50 years after the fact or something. Right, coming in at number 12, we have Melina Havelock. This is a really skilled lady, brilliant with a crossbow. She can dive, and it's all believable. These aren't just random skills that you wouldn't expect a person to have. She's the daughter of a couple who go adventuring and looking for relics and things, and so it is believable that she is the way she is. She gets really into her revenge. You know, Roger Moore actually has to be serious in this film to try and talk her down a little bit. And there's the whole age gap thing. I mean, this wasn't even one of Moore's last films, and he's still so much older than the woman he's with. Right, coming in at number 11, we have Camille from Quantum of Solace. Can't exactly remember how to pronounce it. I like the fact that she doesn't sleep with Bond in this film. I think it's a nice thing that they're just there to help each other, because they're both in a horrible place. Bond because he's lost Vesper, and Camille because she's had all this trouble with this general, and she's just been treated like utter dirt by the villains in this film. So she gets a bit of revenge, which is great. She's very plucky and determined, a real fighter, and you just really get behind her. It's a good performance by this woman whose name I forget, something like Olga Kurilenko or something like that. I think she might be Ukrainian or something, but yeah, I like this one. Right, let's go into the top 10 in a second. I've got my highly appropriate Resident Evil mug for my James Bond countdown. And coming in at number 10, we have Domino from Thunderball. Yeah, again, another woman in the villain's arms, can't get out of the lifestyle, needs Bond to rescue her. And this is another one of those situations where Bond's relationship with a woman kind of accelerates off screen in the space of a few seconds as we look at it. You know, he just meets Domino for a couple of early scenes, and then the next time they meet, they're suddenly on a beach, and they're acting like they've been together like 3 months having this affair. It's kind of weird. It's like they had to drop out some scenes just to keep the running time down. But I like this girl, and she does kill Largo at the end rather than Bond do it. So it's a nice ending for her sort of arc, if you like. Number 9, we have Sylvia Trench, who was originally intended to be, you notice I put Dr. No from Russia with Love there. She was in 2 early Bond films, if you've forgotten, and originally it was intended that she would be in 3, 4, 5, 6, be an ongoing character. So it was thought that she would be Bond's girlfriend back home when he went off and did all the missions and slept with other women. So it would have been weird if she'd still been in it by, I don't know, the 5th or the 6th, and we'd seen Bond like sleep with about 10 different women and then come back and just kiss her as if it was normal. That would have been a bit odd. So maybe it was for the best that she dropped out, but she was pretty good. And true story, I was in a pub quiz once, and one of the questions was, who was the first ever Bond girl? And I said Sylvia Trench, because that is the truth. And the guy went, when he read the answers out, he went, first Bond girl was Honey Rider. And I went up to him afterwards. I said, you're wrong. It was not Honey Rider. He was like, oh, you know, he'd had a few drinks. He's like, oh, get out of here. I spent like ages making this quiz. But what can you do? What can you do? Right, coming in at number 8, we have Octopussy, the only woman on here whose name is the same as the film she was in. Obviously, Maud Adams did 2 Bond films. Her other one, The Man with the Golden Gun, where she played Andrea, she only came at number 37 for that part. This one much higher. I really like, she gets on really well with Roger Moore. They have a good chemistry in this film, and she's got a good backstory which is well explained, and we just end up really liking her despite thinking that she's a villain at first. She's a bit wimpy towards the end. You know, Kamal Khan's just carrying her around like a rag doll, and she's not fighting very much, but on the whole, really, really good. Coming in at number 7, perhaps a surprise that she comes this low, Vesper Lynd. I think a lot of people might have her 1, 2 or 3. I put her at 7 mainly because I think at the end when she leaves the hotel room to go and have that meeting without Bond, without telling him what's going on. Ultimately, it leads to her death. I just think it's a silly decision. By that point, they've built up enough trust that she should be able to confide in him what the full picture is, and she doesn't. And I think that's a black mark in a character, which for me just takes her down slightly. But don't get me wrong, on the whole, she's still a brilliant character. Their relationship with Bond is really well written throughout the film, and compared to the previous film with Pierce Brosnan and Hal Berry, I mean, this is just Shakespeare stuff, you know, Daniel Craig and Eva Green. It really is. So still a top 10 for me, but just has that little niggle at the end of the film, although they are just trying to make it like the novel, I suppose, by finding a way to have her die. But right, coming in at number 6, Holly Goodhead. Probably one that maybe a lot of people would have lower, but I always like this woman. It's good that she's an astronaut. She's a bit funny with Bond to begin with. Bond has to really kind of impress her, as it would be the case. She is an astronaut, you know. Why should she be the one being impressed by him? He's got to impress her as well. She's arguably got a better job than being a spy, you know. So there's a really good scene early on where Bond finds all these gadgets that she's got because she's doubling up as a CIA agent. And it's just a really well-written scene. And then about halfway through, she finally comes around onto his side, and for the rest of the movie, she's sort of with him. But I always found this a good performance. I'm surprised I've not seen this actress again. Louis Childs, I believe she's called, but I've not seen her in anything else, which is kind of a surprise. Right, into the top 5, we have Natalia Simeonova. I completely forgot her surname when I was getting a picture off Google, and I typed in Natalia Romanova. Just couldn't remember. But I like this type of role where a Bond girl is really smart, but that doesn't mean that she's like a kick-ass spy like Wei Lin, you know, Bond's equal, all that rubbish. You know, so she's got a good job at not doing something ridiculously over the top. So, you know, she helps Bond with all the computer side that he can't do in this film. She gets a good backstory, a really well acted part. Again, surprised that this woman's not gone on to have a famous career like Famke Janssen from the same film. So definitely a top Bond girl for me. Right, we're getting into the real highest tier now. Only 4 to go. Do you know who they are? Do you know who's left by elimination? Probably not. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 ideas. Well, let me spoil number 4 for you. It is Pussy Galore, one of the all-time classic Bond girls. Sadly, Honor Blackman passed away quite recently, actually, about 90 or something. She was brilliant in Goldfinger. Not in the movie till at least the second half of the film. When I was younger, and I mean like a child younger, I used to think that she was a Masterson sister for some reason. So you've got Jill Masterson in the beginning of the film, then Tilly shows up, and then when Bond wakes up on the plane and says, "I must be dreaming," I thought that was because he's realised that he's in the presence of a third Masterson sister. And I thought that way for quite a while. It's just kind of weird. It's just one of them things you think of when you're a kid. But no, I really like this role. It's really good. Just an absolute classic role, and for good reason. Although I can't imagine ever going out with anybody called Pussy. That would just be stupid, wouldn't it? Top 3, and in the bronze medal position, we have, drumroll, Tatiana Romanova. This is one that's really grown on me over the years. I just think she's a really fun, quirky sort of character. I'm not entirely sure what her thoughts are through the movie in terms of whether she's crossed over to Bond's side or whether she's still working for Kleb, that kind of thing. It's only really when you get onto the train that she definitely fully is with Bond at that point. But leaving all that aside, I don't know, she's just a lot of fun from the first minute. She's just got a really kind of bright, perky face, and even in a scene with Rosa Kleb where Rosa's like whacking her thing against the chair and being all disciplinarian and stuff, she still manages to keep a really kind of jovial expression, which is kind of cool. So good acting, good role. This is one of my favourites, definitely. Right, coming in at number 2, just missing out on winning the trophy, it is Anya Amasova from The Spy Who Loved Me. I started writing XXX in the little caption thing there, and I thought, what am I doing? I just put a proper name in. This is a brilliant one. Roger Moore and Barbara Bach just absolutely perfect for each other in this film. It's a really fun back and forth that they have as they go on all these adventures through Egypt, and and all the rest of it and try and evade Jaws. It's just really, really good. She is a really sultry woman, and even though she's playing a secret agent, and I don't usually like Bond girls playing Bond's equal, but back when this film came out, it was still quite a fresh thing, I think. You know, when we get into 2020 and it's just old hat, but at this point it was still really cool. So I love the relationship they have in this film. She is absolutely amazing and definitely one of my favourite Bond girls of all time. But who's left? Who is the champion? Who wins it all? I can now reveal the best Bond girl of all time is... Hang on. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Must be a late form of the Millennium Bug. Something, I don't know what happened there. No, the number one is Tracy from Her Majesty's Secret Service. Call me a romantic, but every time I watch this, I'm just like... No, they have a great romance. George Lazenby and Diana Rigg, even though George Lazenby was really inexperienced at acting, somehow he pulled off an amazing performance in making this whole thing work. It's a really long Bond film, this, and just the whole thing feels really genuine all the way through. Obviously really sad at the end. And there's a brilliant moment that she does in this film, which I absolutely loved when I was growing up, when Bond escapes the mountain and he gets to the ice rink down at the bottom in the little village, and he just kind of sits down and gives up. And I'm thinking to myself watching it, oh, he's going back to the cell now. And then Tracy turns up just randomly on the ice skate, and it was one of the biggest kind of, oh yes, moments, you know, I felt as a kid watching a Bond film, and then they had another chance to escape. But no, I love this role. I think she's an absolutely amazing actress in this, and regardless of the fact that she ends up marrying him or dies or whatever, even before all that stuff, even if it had been a completely conventional Bond ending, she's still a great, great Bond girl and worthy of being number one. So there we are. We've gone all the way through from 20 to 1 today, and going back a bit further, we went all the way from 40 originally. We've come to this point. This has been really fun. I've enjoyed going through these, and I hope you enjoyed that. So I guess I will see you again very soon for another rankings of some description. Until then, goodbye. Cheerio.